Is there a drum roll? Oh my God, I have to.
That's hilarious.
What happened? You gotta let it Welcome to the Keys to Success podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Deba Douglas, and I have my beautiful, beautiful host with me, Talisa Stubbs. How are you doing today, Talisa?
I'm doing good. I'm really, really excited about today's episode, but I'm also just excited about just how I feel today. Earlier this week, I've been in Alabama, and this weather in Alabama has been like driving me like absolutely like bonkers. And I came down with something, and I like almost never get sick. And so I was, just trying to like pray my way like through this, like, Lord, I don't got time to be nobody sick. I need you to heal this. I need you to heal it with the quickness. And God is so good because we met some people. I'm always meeting folks. And we met these people since we've been here. And the wife made me a tea. And it had like onion and ginger and honey and lemon. And she was like, make sure you drink all of it. You drink all of it. And in the morning, you're going to feel amazing. And I was just like, okay, all right. And I drank it all, and the next morning I was like, what? I mean, just like a little bit of congestion just from like the after effect. But I was like, I feel great. So I feel blessed. All right.
Wow. Well, I'm
Yeah.
happy you're in better spirits and you're feeling much better.
Thank
Now,
you.
this is not for today's podcast episode, but I definitely want to hear a little bit about your transaction that you recently did in Alabama. You didn't bring any money to the table, private lender, everything, and still going to be cash flowing. So that's a whole nother podcast, but I definitely want to get dibs on that for sure.
Yes, I know that's a whole other thing, and I'll just say this really quick. But Debbie, you're absolutely right. We purchased this property with zero of our own money. We were actually able to help a family, a police officer and his wife who could no longer afford their mortgage payments anymore. We were able to come in, take over their mortgage payments. Their house is pretty much like move-in ready. We didn't have to do much at all. And we will house 9 women who are exiting domestic violence situations. We'll house 9 of them here. The monthly income on this property will be about $7,400 a month, and we will cash flow about $3,000 a month on this one. So
Wow.
it's really exciting, and we get to help both parties. We help the seller; they're not dealing with the foreclosure, and we're able to help 9 women who are homeless right now. So it's amazing.
Wow. Wow. Oh, yeah. We definitely have to do a deep dive into that analysis of that property. We definitely
Girl.
have to do that. But I am so, so excited. I feel really honored too. I'm gonna introduce our guests, and they are like dear, dear friends of mine. Like if I was in the same room with them, I would literally be right smack in the middle between Jody and Lance. I may be sitting on their lap, to be honest, because they are like my heartstrings of people. But just to give them a formal introduction, Jody and Lance, they each have over 25 years of real estate experience in the arena of residential home transactions to closing high volume in multi-states. They've even done HUD foreclosure transactions. They couple with a different multi-location operation of Excel Title Group, Title Data Company, Integrity Title, Ag Land Title in College Station, and they've done various other companies in Oklahoma market. Lance focuses on being the land and title insurance in Texas, Oklahoma, and New Mexico. Jody was the EVP of Business Development and Community Involvement for the Luna family, the company of 6 years. And Jody is a licensed realtor since 1996, which focuses on residential sales. They have 3 wonderful children, Max, Honor, and Ross, and they are their highest priorities. And they had they were the inspiration behind MHR, and that is the why for their endeavors. So we're so excited to have you guys.
Well, we are honored to be here, and remind me I need to hire you to do our intro from here on out.
Yeah.
That sounded better than it's ever sounded, so that's great. Thank you for that.
Who made that? So fun.
I know. But truthfully, the honor is ours. We absolutely love Deba. She was one of our first inspirations, Jody's especially. And the woman is just an amazing wealth of knowledge. And she's so ready to share and eager to share.
Extremely
And
generous with her knowledge.
You don't find that
Nope.
in life anymore. So it's so refreshing and so nice when somebody wants to do that. And that's exactly what you are. So
Oh, you are so, so sweet. So sweet. But you know what? Like, yes, I can do all those great things, but when you hang out with them, like you just feel like empowered to do whatever and anything that you do. And one thing that I love about Jody and Lance is that they reached out to me, I think at the very beginning of them starting to flip houses. And I think I was big and pregnant with Naomi, and Jody was like, "Hey, you want to go for lunch?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah." I'm like a big fat woman. I need to eat. Let's do this. So we meet somewhere to eat, and then we start talking, and then we start realizing like we know a lot of the same people growing up in the Garland area. And well, I grew up in Garland, Jody grew up in Maybank, but just having those same intertwines of people in Garland. And that was like what, Naomi's two, so less than 2.5 years ago, I want to say. And now they are like big time flippers in the DFW Metroplex. When I tell you everything that they flip, I don't even call it flip, remodeled and make it back to life, it goes under contract within days. Heck, sometimes it's not even days. They just let their circle of realtors know and boom, it's already under contract. So we definitely are excited to have you guys, but we want to definitely hear what made you guys shift from like title, then go into residential real estate as a realtor, to now like having MHR that does flips and all these other great things.
I'll let you take that because it was your idea. So you start out.
Okay. Well, look, I'm not afraid of the microphone. So,
She's not.
well, we were in title. We had been in title for years and years. Lance's background has been in title. That's how we met. I was a real estate agent. Had a closing at his office in about 1997, and we were married in 98. Our kids grew up showing houses. This is the kitchen. Get your sippy cup, please. You know, that was kind of how it went. You know, like little Naomi with her Real Estate and Friends magazine. It was very much like that. And then I got to stay home for a little while, just became a referring agent. So just making that 25% referral fee for every deal I sent out, still working my sphere. And then in 2015, I decided I'm ready to jump back in, but I don't want to do real estate. I want to help realtors. So I jumped on the title train, and I did business development for XL Title, which was a Luna family company. And so anyway, from there, once our title operations were going to sell, I was like, okay, what do I want to do when I grow up now? And I think I want to flip houses.
And I thought she was crazy at first, to be honest with you.
So
I was like, you want to do what? Yeah.
So I left, and I immediately, before I had even decided to leave title, I saw Deba on Facebook, and I'm always really intrigued with people, just like who is out there that I need to know. And Deba was one of those people. And I just sent her a Facebook message, and I was like, I know you don't know me from Adam, and I swear I'm not a psycho, but can I take you to lunch? Because you're awesome, and I need to know who you are. And she was like, girl, yes, let's go to Houlihan's. And we did. And then we just hit it off. And I swear I bought our first house like 6 weeks after that.
And truthfully, and I'm going to give Deba some credit here. When Jody told me that she had been, she found you on Facebook and you were doing all these amazing things. And I was like, okay, there are not people out there anymore that really want to share their secrets, help people that just do good things. And boy, was I ever wrong. And am I ever thankful I was wrong, because you really guided Jody in areas. I mean, we knew real estate very well, different aspects of it, but Jody was like, this lady's like for real. She's amazing. She's neat. She's got all these great tips. And I'm like, ain't nobody going to share that kind of stuff. I mean, but you did. And that just says something about you, the person that you are, because everything Jody said you were, you absolutely were.
It's true.
And that's just invaluable.
And it was a lot of confidence, I feel like.
It really was.
Kind of going off on a Deba tangent, but which is what we should be doing. This should be the Deba show.
Yes.
But no, it was more of, I mean, I've ran comps since, I was 23. I mean, I know how to search for the data. I know what to look for. I know how to make it where it's marketable, and he knows how to run the finance side of it, cure title, any of that kind of thing.
IT, my specialty.
That is not true. That is 1,000% not true.
Who got this working? Anyway, go ahead.
And so anyway, we knew that collectively we had the knowledge to do it. I really feel like sitting down with Deba was the one to say, hey, look, you can just be.
Just go.
Just
go
do it.
I mean,
like,
that's
throw,
exactly right.
Throw your money out there. I was like, let me write the check. Where are we going? So we did.
What's that?
Did.
Can they hear us anymore?
Yeah. Wait.
They can't. Oh, boy, they can't hear us.
I love that, you guys. One thing that I love that Lance, both you and Jody have said is that Deba was just a wealth of information, and you were just like, there's no way that somebody like this is going to give all that information away. And I want to talk about gatekeeping for a minute, because I know a lot of the time, like you mentioned, when there's really valuable information, like life-changing information that could change the trajectory of somebody's life, you do have a lot of mentors and coaches who only want to give a certain amount of information. And one thing that I do love about Deba is that there is no gatekeeping. She's going to tell you all the ins and outs about everything you want to know. If you ask a question, she's going to answer it to the best of her ability. And you can't say that about everybody, because people are so afraid that somebody's going to take this information and try to make money off of it, or they're going to become greater than me. But when you have an abundance mindset, the way that Deba does, you get somebody who doesn't mind sharing all the things with you. I feel like the more we share, the more money we actually make in return, really. Right, Deba? Oh, you're muted.
There she is.
There you. Why can't I not hear her?
There you
Nope.
Wait.
I can't hear either.
Can you hear her?
We can't hear her.
I mean, Deba, I can see when you're unmuted, but it's like when you're unmuted, we still can't hear you for some reason. But today's the day.
Deba, she can't even respond.
I know, but Deba, I mean, you feel me, girl. So while she figures that out, so really quick, so you reached out to Deba, asked her to lunch, and then what really happened from there? Did you guys just go right into finding your first fix and flip? Did Deba help you find it? What transpired after that?
I think, do you want me to take that?
Oh, absolutely.
I think what happened, of course I'm going to take that.
Why did you ask? You don't normally ask.
I think that
Well,
at
it's
that
true.
point, of course, I was already established as a realtor, but I ended up moving my license from a big brokerage to Fathom, just so that I could kind of follow in Deba's footsteps of finding a brokerage that was investor friendly. And so that was important to me. And so I went through that process. And then from there, I just started searching in MLS and connecting with different wholesalers. So
And Deba gave great advice about some wholesalers
Yes.
that helped us at the very beginning, especially.
she did.
She was like, call A, B, C, D, and
And we
we
did.
did.
And so, yeah, we just started jumping out and looking at houses. And the next thing you know, that adrenaline rush of being in kind of a bidding situation. And it was actually a New Western. We bought our first one was through New Western, and it was an MLS, two things that I probably won't do again. I mean, one for sure. New Western's been fine for us, but I was like, are you serious? I could have got 3% on that deal. That's dumb. But anyway, we already had our contractor lined up. We kind of already had our things ready to roll. We knew what we needed to do in terms of that. We already renovated our own property. So,
And that's kind of what I think gave me the confidence to know, like, Jody's really good at this. I mean, she was doing this before we were actually doing it. She was just doing it to our property. I'm like, why can't we do this to other people's places? Because what she did at our house was amazing. And so anyway, it just
Well,
kind
now I have
of,
a budget.
which she doesn't keep very well. But it's
But our
always
houses sell for over list.
yeah.
But
Well,
yes, I do say I am better about that.
Well, and truthfully, it has taken us, and I will tell any new investor out there, it takes a couple of years to kind of get a formula down to know what's going to work for you, because every investor is different. Their goals are different. Whether you want to rent the property, renovate it, it doesn't build from ground up. I mean, it just takes, I believe, a good solid couple of years to really figure out what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, in my opinion, I mean, you may have a guidance of things to start, but it takes a while.
Well, and when you go online and you're like, oh, look at the golden formula.
Yeah, okay.
That golden formula that's out there happened in about 1990. I need for everybody to know.
Before everyone in the world,
Everybody and their dog
invest.
decided to think that they could. And that is heartbreaking about investors now. They really don't know what they're buying and what they're getting themselves into.
And people are paying astronomical prices
it's pretty crazy
for things that you're like, and 2 years ago, I would have thought the same thing. But
let me tell you, we have gone through the gamut with this one. He's like, that is a $60,000 house. I'm like, no, it's not. It's $260,000.
Well, in 1984, $60,000, and I thought that was a lot. And now those things that were 60 are now 260 and 300. I'm like, how in the world? I still don't get it. But anyhow.
So y'all can see why I love them. Like, you can see why I absolutely love them. And one thing I do want to make a point, because they made a really good point about, although, like, hey, I've been doing this for a little bit, I still learn from them. And you're constantly learning from each other and learning what's right, what's not right. Like, I did my first flip in the Richardson area, and that's kind of like their wheelhouse, Richardson, Plano. And I was like, man, I stick in Garland because I like Garland. But then I was very terrified throughout the entire process doing that flip in Richardson. And who did I call for every little question, every little situation? Was Lance and Jody. So as much as they're like, Deba helped them, I just told them it was already in you. You just had to just build up that confidence. And then knowing like, hey, I can do this, because Jody was a phenomenal realtor. Lance knows title. Y'all already had the ingredients. It was just putting it all together and making it beautiful. So tell us, since you guys have started, how many flips have you done? Because we're really nosy on this podcast. We really want to know your business. So we want to know how many flips, and if you can tell us, like, I don't want to ask you all your business, but just give us a roundabout amount of like, how much do y'all make? You know?
Yeah, the good stuff.
The good stuff.
Done about 25.
About
25 flips since maybe August or September of 2022.
Yes.
2022.
And truthfully, when we first started, our goal was, okay, let's just have a bunch of volume. Let's make about $15,000-$20,000. And that was our goal. Yeah. Now our goal is to make at least 50 to 60 or 75 per transaction. So, we have figured out, believe it or not, you don't have to do as many if you just make more on the ones that you're doing. But again, it's stuff you just don't, because even though, again, I honestly thought, I'm like, well, we can do this because we have all this knowledge in the field. But until you just dip your toe in it and try to do it for yourself, you don't know.
Yeah.
And the market, just since we have started, has dramatically changed. You think about rates where you were getting loans for 3-4%. Now they're 7, 8, 9%.
Mm-hmm.
The market is constantly changing. And I'll admit, I'm one of those that wants to put everything in a box and it's just fit perfectly in there. So every time the formula is just the same, and she comes at me with an axe and whatever else she can get her hands on, it doesn't work that way. And she's right. I will say that is absolutely the truth. Look at her. See, she can't. But it's true.
No, you know what? He puts it in a Prada shoebox. That's what he does.
I just want to put stuff in a box and go, okay, it worked the last time, so it should work this time. And I also thought at one point, and I'm just admitting all this, why not? Just people out there, they're thinking, well, there's no way I can do this. Yes, you can. Because I used to think you could just dial up a house when you wanted one. I'm like, oh, well, just because
look at MLS.
Yeah, look at MLS and find us one. We'll find the right one. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And
I think that's some of the biggest things that I have learned. And you learn the lessons the hard way, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Just to sit here and say, we've never messed up. That's bull. If you do this, you're gonna mess up.
Yeah.
Start.
But you're going to have some good ones too.
But you're gonna have your goal is to have a lot more good ones than you do.
Yes.
In anything in life. I mean, you don't just step into a new career and go, okay, it's perfect, and I have nothing I can work on. So always learning, always listening, and always being prepared for the unknown.
Well, Deb and I would say that. We walked in and we were like, we own this. We're
Well, there is a lot of truth to that, but
just kidding.
anyway, it's just not as easy as it would appear.
Yeah.
So,
What was the other question? You want to talk dollar signs?
Yes. You know, I want dollar signs.
I know you want dollar signs. I would say you want overall or like some of our highest and best or
Whatever you want to share. It's your world.
I mean, honestly, I think the best flip we've done, we profited about 180,000.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that's beautiful. But there's also been the ones where you lost 20 and 30,000 thinking, oh, there's no way I can screw this up.
Yes.
He's got some names there was a couple of them.
I have beautiful, colorful names for each property. And if it's a good one, then you get a really nice name. If it's not, well, then you take your place and take your licks.
Yeah.
I would say overall, it's definitely been beneficial of being out of the corporate world and into this. And I think that having a real estate background, and I know that that's a lot of your mentees are not coming with that background. But I would say the biggest advantage I feel like that we've had is just knowing how to pull your data and making sure that you know the numbers.
Well, and that's and I'll brag on Jody for a second if I can, because it amazes me how literally, in the way, I mean, kind of one of the things that we do when we look to buy a property, I'm like, okay, Jody, what's the ARV? And to the point now that we look at a property, she's like, I found one, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what's the ARV? She gets mad at me for saying that because that's the first question. I'm like, because you can't really figure out whether you should do it or how much you can spend or what you're going to do. Look and see, she gets frustrated right there. Well,
that is the question.
Well,
that is the question.
But that's why I asked. But I was trying to brag on you for a second, if you'll allow me. Truthfully, she is so spot on because every deal that we do, we get an appraisal before we dive completely in because we want to have some kind of idea of what the ARV is going to be.
Yeah,
and she is within $5,000 to $10,000. It's really within 5, 7 the most she's been off, which that's pretty remarkable to me because it gives you a really comforting feeling. Okay, I can spend XYZ because we know that once we know how we like to redo them. We don't put lipstick on pigs. We do everything from electrical, plumbing. It's all replaced if need be. And she's always spot on. And I think that has been the most critical thing.
Yeah.
It's a sixth sense.
Thank you.
I mean,
you guys sense.
It is. I'm like, how do you know that? I mean, I know you can look in MLS and you can have all these facts and blah, blah, and blah, but it's not that easy. So,
no.
I mean, and that's 30 years of doing this. I mean, I understand that, but that's invaluable. So before you just jump off and say, I'm going to spend this and do this, get an appraisal or know somebody that can really work the true numbers because you're going to have surprises. Yeah. I think what cast iron was. Now it's like my worst memory. I won't go into a house looking for that darn lead. I'm like, good God, there's a pipe here and it's not PVC.
Yeah.
That was literally the biggest nightmare that I think we had on our first one. I'm like, we didn't plan $15,000 for a student.
Right. It's so funny because I'll walk houses now, and if I pull up to the front or if I'm walking in the back and I don't see a clean out, I'm like, oh man. So all this is brand new. Like you got to do everything brand new. And I used to not think about that, but plumbing, and that's one of those things about flipping houses that most people just think about the finish outs. But you're going to spend more money on the stuff no one even sees. No one sees the plumbing. No one sees the electrical. But if you don't have those right, that will make or break your deal during the option period.
100%, because those inspectors are going to find everything.
Everything.
Which, I mean, that's what they're paid to do.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they're your best friend or biggest enemy, however you want to look at it. But that's why we just don't leave anything unturned because
it's going to pop up.
It's going to pop up. Thank you. No, you're not. And you don't want to. You want to pass along a wonderful product to the new owner. You're bringing a house to life and you're making it and that's anyway. I'll stop talking because I think I'm wrapped. I don't think okay. That's
Is it okay? well, I kind of wanted you to elaborate a little bit more on your flip, the one that you guys did really well on. So your profit was 180. Take us back a couple of steps. What was the purchase price? What was the expected rehab cost? What were your actual rehab costs? And then how did we get to that 180?
The purchase price was $435.
and when Jody told me that, it was in the M streets, and I looked at the condition of it, and I'm like, "You got to be joking! You want this thing?"
So he wouldn't go in it.
No. Well, I did go in it, but I took like 3 steps, and there's furry stuff all over the place. I'm like, "That's enough." I mean,
Okay.
anyhow, true.
So we'll save all those details for the next podcast.
Yeah.
But it was full. It was fully stuffed out. I don't even know how you want to say it.
There was crap everywhere.
There was crap
That's
everywhere.
how you say it.
So our original budget, I feel like, was going to be about 150, and that we knew we were going to have foundation work. We knew we were going to have a lot of hurdles to go over, and we were going to definitely have to go through full city inspection and permitting with the city, and then the Dallas Conservation District as well. So that was going to be I was going to meet some new friends.
Oh.
To put in my Christmas card.
And that is another gift of Jody's. She can make a friend out of anybody. Your biggest enemy, you wouldn't know if Jody didn't like you. You really wouldn't. I mean, she got that gift from her mother. I mean,
oh my God, my mom's not watching.
Well, I'm just telling you. I mean, seriously, she can tell you to go jump in the lake, and you don't even know it.
And we'll
You
pray
thank her
for
for
and
it.
then we pray for you.
And we pray for them, and she does.
So anyway, 150 was our budget. We ran into, and right off the bat. Well, first let me tell you, we do no more than a 3-week close. So when we contract a house, we don't do an option period. We straight up do 3 weeks. We already have a number in our mind with our GC when we go in. So when we make an offer, we already have a budget in mind, and we love working with realtors. So we're going to pay a full 3% when we go to sell. We want our realtor community to know that we are realtor friendly and we want to work with them. We also include all of our listing expenses, obviously, like everybody else does, from photos to if we have to pay the title policy and a repair budget.
And Jody actually makes a book at each house and of everything that we've done on the property,
Like a renovation
from A to
cost
Z.
sheet,
And people do love that.
They
And
do
that's
love
just
that.
a little tip that
Yeah.
as you're doing your renovations, you might want to think about doing it just so you're not trying to do it all at the end. But I found that was one of our best ideas because people love to know what was done.
Yeah.
So in that 3 weeks before we close, I always have an engineer come out. Whether I feel like there's foundation issues or not, we just pony up that 300 or 275, whatever it is. And that way we know exactly what we need to do before we start fixing any drywall. We know what we're going to need to do to make the property, secure in terms of the foundation. So when he came out, we used the same guy. He was like, oh my God. The crawl space was like this much.
And he's not one of those panickers. So when he said, oh my God, I'm like, oh my God.
Now, mind you, remember, we don't do an option period. Like, we're in it to win it. We're just getting to closing. And also that 3 weeks allows us, we go ahead and order, we have our designer go in. She puts together a full PowerPoint of all of our selections. So she and I have walked the property at that point. We've already decided, hey, we want to go with this sort of design scheme or whatever our ideas are, paint colors. We're gonna move them around maybe, but we get an idea. And she goes ahead and moves forward with ordering all the plumbing fixtures because those are the things that have to go in first. All of that stuff. So the day we close, literally our foundation people are there the very next morning. So they start and they raise this house simultaneously. It takes multiple crews to raise it at the same time because the entire house has sunk except for one pier in the master bedroom where there's this.
One.
Wow.
And you want to talk about scared to death? I'm like, oh my God, we just paid $435,000 for this heap and it's going to fall down and I'm not going to watch it. And I didn't. They did an amazing job.
They did an amazing job.
They were like, no, this is not
Yes.
hard to do. I'm like, Yeah.
Yeah. But all of that to say, we did end up, of course, we replaced every single thing in the house. But we did end up going over budget on that one. We added, I added a fence.
Well, we went over budget because we did things that we didn't. I mean, we went over budget for all sorts of reasons, but we really exceeded the budget we'd intended to at first. It was about $50,000. But you added a gate. You added a lot of things.
A privacy fence. Some things just have to be done.
Yeah.
You see the value in them as you're doing them, and you're like,
and in certain neighborhoods, I mean, you knew, you're like, okay, we can add A, B, C, D. We're going to get the value back out. And you were right on. I mean,
we ended up, going over list, but the foundation ended up being more. So all of that to say, we went about 50K over. I think I listed it at 829 and it sold for 850 in
Beautiful.
3 hours. I had 2 offers. Now
in this market.
But this is Lance.
Wow.
Oh my God. There's already an offer. Okay. Email it to me. And then he's like, oh my God, we need to respond. I'm like, please be patient.
That's all, folks. Have a good evening.
I mean, and then we get the second offer. He's like, this is just being greedy. We already have 2. I don't think we're going to wait.
I don't like to be greedy. Greed gets you nowhere. I mean, I'm telling you, you just take your blessings and you go. You had that magic introduction in Alabama. You snuffed it first, but then look, you were amazed the next day.
Yeah.
By the way, I could have used that magic potion. So next time I'm going to try that.
I'll have to get the recipe for you.
Very much. I needed it. So
I love you guys.
great to do it. But truthfully, and if you're 2 spouses working together, God bless you, number one. But you have this kind of relationship. I mean, you do. So
all of that to say, another thing we look for is a fantastic agent on the other side, because they can make you or break you.
Yes.
And I mean, believe me, our son just got his real estate license. He's brand new. Like, his license probably starts with an 8. Mine starts with a 4. So I'm just saying about the new agents. But
you work with anybody.
I will work with anybody.
But you do
and
better.
Even the seasoned agents can be with. But I'm telling you, that will make or break a deal right there.
That will. Every day. That will. At the end of the day, that will definitely break it.
And I worked in title with real estate agents for 30 years. I thought I knew everything there was to know about them. Truthfully, I did.
And he married one.
And I married one. And I never gave the really good real estate agents, and people listen to this, if I give you any advice, this is it. Never gave the good real estate agents that just did their job, didn't panic, didn't do enough credit.
Yeah.
They are the freaking glue that will hold the deal together or will bust it apart. And if you get an agent, you get 2 offers on a property and one of the agents brand new and doesn't know how to spell toy, but the offer is $10,000, $15,000 higher, take the lower one and go, because you will close with the one that will close.
Yeah.
Makes such a difference.
Yeah.
What about the new agents are good too.
They are wonderful, but they have to be coachable. And
is there an edit button?
Listen,
a little bit, but we are live. Remember, we are live.
This is live. There is no edit button, Jody. There's no edit button.
Truthful, and this is 100% the honest truth.
Yeah, and that's real. Like, that is so true that you don't realize that all realtors are not the same. I didn't realize that until I started working with so many different realtors. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, do what's best for your client. And a lot of them they just don't know. There's a lot of that lack of critical thinking. But then when you find a bomb realtor, you're like, oh my gosh, I want to sing your praises all day long because this transaction is so smooth.
Yes.
And everyone knows the role. Yeah.
That's what I do. When I find good ones and I keep in contact with them, I'm like, here's what I got going on. And now I have agents, they're like, hey, do you have any under construction in Plano and 75075 or whatever zip code? And I mean, I've sold 2 where as soon as we could have an appraiser come out where it was appraisable, then we closed 2 weeks after that. Never went on the market.
Yeah.
So
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so for some of our people that are watching, they're like, okay, how did they get going? They made like 100 plus on one deal. what advice can you give to any new investor or someone on the fence? Like, I want to do this, but I'm terrified. What advice?
You go first. Well, you're going to yell at me if I go first. You go on.
The advice that I would give is first study the market area where you are. Don't just jump out there. I would say really drive your neighborhoods and learn them first. I know the numbers are there, but I mean, we went to look at a lot this morning because we got some things going from the ground up, and it's like, what the picture in MLS or the picture that the wholesaler is going to send you, you don't see what's next door.
Yeah.
And the numbers.
When it's a real narrow picture, you know, it's probably done a pretty good job because I don't want you to see what's on.
Yeah. There's a lot of cropping going on.
That's right, a lot. But you do have to remember the marketability. Even if your numbers are there, your marketability has to be there for what's immediately around it. So you don't want to make a haste decision. And that's where in this market, it is required for you to do that. But you do need to spend some time studying the market and watching it a little bit before you jump in. Would you say?
100%. And one thing that you said, and I didn't understand this because I didn't have the real estate I had title background, but real estate background is you're like, we need to preview. Go into, if you have the ability to where you can go, whether you're an agent or you have a license or you're working with one, have them take you to some of the listings that are in the neighborhood. Yeah. See what's in the houses, because you cannot get the full picture just from the pictures that are in MLS or on Zillow or whatever, wherever you're looking.
Yeah.
It's going in and saying, hey, what are people in the neighborhood putting in as far as countertops, flooring, all that kind of stuff? What's in there? And then what are they getting? And look in the last 90 days.
So study your market, number one. Second, find a really good person that you trust to handle helping you with your renovation. Yeah. Now, we had that, and let me tell you, they are hooked to our wagon with like a lock and key. And that way we know that we're getting the same tradespeople. I mean, that's what's worked for us. It's not like that for everybody. And we're sort
and it's hard to find great tradespeople. I mean, it is
sort of a little bubble in our DFW area. But the tradespeople is really good. And then so important. And then for me, it's that mapping out how you're going to get all of this done, because time is money. And I have a whiteboard literally with a roadmap on it. And I have 30-day markers. And as soon as we close on a house, I know exactly in 7 days, I have 7 days to 7, 14, whatever, 20 to 30, and what all should be done in that 30 days.
Yeah.
And we have meetings once a week, checklist, all the things, what is done, because time is money. And I need it closed 30 days from the time it goes on the market.
Yeah.
Or less.
That days on market makes a big deal too. That was another thing. I'm like, so what if the DOM is 60 days?
He's got a word for DOM, all right.
Yeah.
DOM days on market.
If it's too many DOM days on market, that means it's too DOM high. But that's okay. Appropriately, it's true. And I will tell you, as you were saying when you first started off, the very first house, because Jody is uber talented. I mean, in everything she does. If you know Jody, you love Jody, and that's the truth. But she is extremely talented in design, in space planning. She's amazing at. But she ordered all of the things for us on our first house, did all this stuff, and we quickly realized that paying a little more for like a designer and for people who could coordinate all that, that your front porch isn't stacked that high.
When those double ovens showed up at my doorstep,
we're like, okay, what are we gonna do with this? So we do pay a little, we pay more in fees because now we're not wasting our time to figure out what to do with the double oven.
Yeah.
Get in our doorstep. We're on to the next house looking for the next deal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're not trying to just do one, if you're trying to do one a year or something, totally different. You can do that stuff yourself and have the time. If you're trying to make a career out of it.
But there's times like we had 8 properties going on. It's like, I can't keep track of what hardware goes with what. because we do them different. Like they all have a personality, and that's what's worked for us.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point to make, that I think sometimes the greed of wanting to do and be a part of every piece of the transaction takes away from you scaling. And so it's good to hire and delegate some of these things so that you can be freer, so that you can continue the business moving forward.
Right.
Instead of feeling like, okay, I got to be involved in every step of this progress. Because when you say yes to something, you ultimately say no to something else. So that's a really good tip. If you do want to scale and make this like your career, you can't focus on doing one and being involved with everything. Hire these people that are well skilled, then you can go scale, and your job is great at finding these properties.
Exactly.
And another huge, and this sounds so obvious, but a huge thing to have, you got to have the right lending institution that's helping you.
Yes.
If you don't have a good lender and people who can turn things just like that aren't easy to work with, that take forever to do inspections along with all that kind of stuff, that'll kill you.
Yeah.
I mean, 30 days or 2 or 3 days here, 2 or 3 doesn't sound like it makes a big difference, but that interest adds up quick.
It does.
It adds up very quick. And if you've got, it's all who you surround yourself with, from your designer to your contractors to your lenders. It's all equally important. And I mean, I think that
he deals with that side. That's his specialty. And
well, but I mean and we've got the best in the world. I will say that. I mean, they do an amazing job, and it makes our life so much easier. Some of these people who try to use some of these hard money lenders that are ABC off the streets,
Right.
it makes it almost impossible to complete anything on a transaction. And then your interest is just building up and up and up. And
that's why you got to go with who you find somebody that you trust.
That's
and
right.
Yeah. And build that relationship with them so they can really take care of you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so we've heard about the flipping. I know you guys are working on some really cool things, so we would love to hear what is next for you guys.
Well, do you think I'm going to say anything? Please.
So building is our next. Well, first of all, we're doing construction. So
That's huge.
That
Talk
is
about
huge.
that
Let me
for a
talk
minute.
about that first. In the last 2 years, I've done a lot of Facebook and social media stuff with what we have going on, and we've just had a really great response with that. And people are like, "Oh my God, I would love to do my bathroom," or "What do you think about my kitchen?" And so now we just started.
And at first we were like, "Well, you want to sell it?
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
how
you
about
wanna
that? We'll buy it from you." But unfortunately, not everybody wants to sell their property.
Exactly.
So
this week we have our first kitchen renovation going on for a private customer. Next week we start 2 bathrooms in 1 house. So it looks like we're probably going to have about a construction job about every other week starting. And so that just right out of the gate, I mean, people
So don't close your door to
loved
anything.
it.
There
Because,
you go.
God, this guy. He didn't-
Well, first I'm like, okay, we're going to do what?
Yeah.
That my box is right here.
Yes.
I'm trying to go over here, and then I'm like, wait a minute. We
Yeah.
don't have to put all this money down to get this rolling. We can just get a check and disperse it. And
and we're using our same crews,
yes.
right?
You know.
All the people that do all of our work for us, our personal homes, they've been doing stuff like that for us. So
And-
there's that.
And word of mouth is huge. When people
Yes.
start hearing, somebody's remodel, okay, we're doing a kitchen remodel, they walk in, and then maybe they want to sell their house. I mean,
Mhm.
people talk. When you do good things and good people talk.
Well, both ways too.
Oh,
But
well.
we prefer the good.
Yes.
Yes.
Good or bad. Yes.
There are people out there
Yeah.
that will talk good. You always hear about the bad.
Right.
But people want to talk about good too. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's
So before
We've been
the
very
others,
blessed with that.
Tomorrow we do a proposal for the full home renovation. But it's also about communication with that, and I'm back to the timeline, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what people want to know is who is it that we can trust that's going to come in here and make sure that we have an ending, that we finish.
Right.
always, if she thinks we're going to do a job, whether it be a flip or let's just say she thinks we're going to get it done in 6 weeks, she's going to say 8 or 9 weeks.
Yes.
It's mad if you finish something early. I mean, I think that's key.
True.
Don't overpromise, because you start overpromising people
Honor before.
and honor before. Yes,
Honor before.
That's contract talk. Very good. I mean, but truthfully, I think that's a key. I mean, she's asking us things that are
Well, but
important.
our GC will say we're going to be done on such and such day. I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Because look, then there's blue tape. And if I pay somebody to go in there and clean, see, we've learned this too. You can pay for somebody to clean 3 times based on who says it's going to be fit the project.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would have paid for your pictures to go in MLS had you known that it was, when the right date was. So
Right.
Very true.
the other thing we have going on is some new construction things that are in the works. So
That's very
I haven't even
exciting.
had a chance to tell you about that.
Nice. I know you had talked a little bit about it, but I'm so excited for y'all. And I think that's something beautiful about real estate. Like, you intentionally get in thinking, I'm just going to do this. And then God has a way of making it this crazy vehicle of a journey. And now you're helping so many different people in different aspects. So that's beautiful.
Yes.
And the houses tell a story. Like, I never really, because I just used to push the papers across and your rate's this, or this, clear title. And that's all important. Everybody plays their role. But I never really understood houses actually tell a story. And usually our story is sad when you're buying these to renovate them, typically the story's going to be sad.
Just like you said, it starts out one way.
Truthfully, but then, and I used to get kind of depressed at first because I'm like, oh my gosh, because you can always walk in, okay, this person, you see the walker in the corner turned up. It's horrible. And you feel that pain for people. And I have aging parents, so it really hits home now like it never did before.
Yeah.
But you realize what wonderful things, the new memories, you bring things back to life. And I think that's exciting. And people need to know that.
I have a couple of buyers that send me pictures. Like, now that their certain rooms are completely decorated, like, it just, yeah.
It is.
That.
Because I'm friends with everybody.
She is. She is.
Yes.
Unless you make her mad.
But then you won't even know it. You wouldn't even know it.
Well, some people might.
Okay, so for our followers that are watching, they're probably like, oh my gosh, I want to get more of Lance and Jody. How can they get connected with you guys?
Well, I am very active on social media. So our Facebook page is MHR Texas. And then, of course, you can always just send me a friend request. Jody Luna is my Facebook handle. And I'm super responsive. My phone number is on there. Whatever, any questions, if you need me to share
And I will.
my checklist sheets, whatever.
She's following in your footsteps, I will say, Deb. This is a true compliment from you, but she wants to share with people. I mean, if you talk to her, she's just like what you are. I mean, wanting to give the information, and I think she said this, and I think you said the same thing. There's so much out there for everybody, even in this market. There's plenty of work for everyone to do. There truthfully is. You don't think that, and especially when it tightens up a little bit. But if you just keep looking, you got to be consistent and do the same thing with every single thing. Even for 3 months, it doesn't work. And I'm trying to tell myself this more of that. So stop looking at me, because I know you're looking at me like, I tell you this every single day. I know what you're doing.
Patience.
But patience is hard. I mean,
especially
when you're starting in this, and you just like, okay, let's, when you had a job where you've gotten paid every 2 weeks, like clockwork,
right?
Well, the clock stops in this thing. It may not work exactly how you like it, so it's an adjustment.
It is. It's definitely an adjustment. But I think it's really cool I think for me, what I love about it is, like, I created that shit. Like, I did that. Like, I literally saw this and said, I'm going to make this. I can see the vision. And then you're able to really see it transform. Then that gives you your superpower. You're like, I could do anything. Like, I could do it. Yeah.
It's just like, it worked. Like, it worked.
And I love vision. I walk into a house, and
that is one of your big strengths.
I just love it.
Because I look at it and go, this thing needs a stick of dynamite. And she's like, no, that's not what it needs. I can see this and this and that. And I'm like, okay. Now I'm starting to see it. But I had to be shown the way that I was.
Yeah. Okay, I do have one random question. This is our last question.
Okay.
How is it working together as husband and wife, navigating this real estate up and down woes? One tip that you can share of, like, working together.
You know what? We have a great time. I mean, we do. Now, is it wedding full bliss, 24 hours, 7 days a week? I mean, I can tell you it is. I mean, and who wouldn't be with me? But I'm just saying, no, it's not that way. Play to your strengths.
Yeah.
She does have the vision. She's got all of the, she can walk in anywhere and go, okay, this room could be this, XYZ, move this, do that. She's great at that. She's wonderful at social media, marketing, all of that stuff. Her personality is great like that. I've done numbers my entire life in title and documents and the finance part. So it's kind of really worked well for us because we play off each other's strengths. And rumor has
Payroll,
it, I might have like crossed into her lane a couple times thinking she's pretty good about saying, get in your
I'm
lane.
a redirector.
Yeah. Stay on your side, buddy. Stay in your lane.
So that's the best advice I could give on that. Find your strengths, play off those, and
Stay in your lane.
And okay, you said it about 16 times. Right, but it's been wonderful. It's been I've never, and I don't feel like I'm working.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Because in 30 years, I felt like I was going to work, and I was very blessed to have the wonderful job, but like it doesn't even feel like work.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. That's what it's about.
The one thing that I want investors and anybody to keep in mind, especially even in this market where we're in a supply and demand issue, everybody has to have a place to live.
Yes.
And you just keep that in mind and like just keep your focus of this persistence every single day. We kind of have our setup where we're checking the hot sheet. Here's our secrets. We're checking the hot sheet morning and night. And,
I call it the cold sheet right now. I'm like, okay, this thing needs to warm up a bit.
But also not just putting in those actives and coming soons, but watching the pendings and closed and seeing all of the statuses and what's happening to some of these properties that you thought, that was overpriced to start with, and where is it? And then don't be afraid to make offers. I'm writing an offer on the daily, sometimes multiple.
Yes.
So
you're going to get rejected 29 times to get one deal.
And all you need is one. All you need is one.
That's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
But you're going to get rejected a lot. And that's part of it.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother, that's a strange thing. And that's strange for me.
Oh, Lance hates rejection.
I don't like it. I don't like when people
That's
get
a great
mad.
offer.
That's right. Or at least counter back. Don't be stupid.
That's a whole nother look. I think she's telling us our time is up.
Oh, okay. Well, listen.
Okay, so we definitely have to have you guys back on the show because y'all are such a wealth of knowledge. There were so many great gems that y'all dropped in and shared with our listeners, shared with me. I'm taking some things from this. So we just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to chat with us and share your journey. We cannot wait to see what happens with new construction. We cannot wait to see what happens with this growing construction business. But we know you guys are going to do amazing. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you. True, heartfelt thanks to you because you are a huge, huge inspiration of why we're doing what we're doing and why we're doing so well. And I mean that honest to God.
Oh. Well, y'all are my people because I don't do any big purchases or anything crazy I do in my world. I'm like, okay, I got to talk to Lance and Jody. I just got to make sure, like Samson gave me the green light, but I definitely need another approval from Lance and Jody. And
the bus a lot. Stop throwing poor Samson under the bus. He's a good man.
Samson and Lance have the understanding of everything is for sale that we
everything. Yeah, that's like a whole nother podcast, but seriously, everything is for sale in their eyes. And I'm like, no, this is like our forever situation. No, we can sell that. We'll figure it out.
Sell that.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, it was
nice to meet you.
Yes, it was such a joy having you both. You guys found out how to get a hold of Lance and Jody. You guys can reach out to them on Facebook and on Instagram. And on Instagram. Yes. Yep. Wonderful. And she's got her phone number on there if you guys want to reach out to her and give her a call. I'm sure that they would love to work with you guys if you guys are in that area. So thank you guys for watching and coming every week, and continue to subscribe and like and comment, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank you for tuning in to the Keys to Success podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you want to listen to more, be sure to subscribe to Apple Podcast and YouTube for our latest episodes.
Check out our show notes for more information on mentorship, private money lending,